Welcome to Talks with Teads. I'm Katie Secret, and I'm the EVP of Global Marketing at Teads. I'm really excited to be here with Kristin today from Tastemade. So first, Kristin, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role?
Yeah, absolutely. I work for Tastemade. We were recently acquired by Wonder. I lead our global programmatic and non-guaranteed monetization. Get to work with partners, great partners like Teads every day.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to you about the acquisition. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it means for your business and strategy going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We're all really excited about the acquisition. I think in our industry, it's definitely more of a fun, creative acquisition versus like, let's say, one tech company acquiring another. We look at it in two ways. One, they acquired us for our ads business. They were looking for a partner to accelerate their entrance into the ads business. Wonder, they have brick and mortar restaurants and offerings, as well as they own Grubhub and Seamless and Blue Apron. So they were really looking for a partner to enter them into the food and lifestyle ad space, and we offer that both programmatically and direct. And you see different brands like Amazon, like Uber, like Instacart entering the ads business, which is really accounting for a lot of their revenue, like high margin ad revenue versus lower margin retail and delivery. So it's a great extension. It's a great extension for them, and we're really excited about the products that we can bring to all of their properties alongside of Tastemade's ads business. It's very early, so we're still figuring out how all of the pieces are going to work together. But I would say marketing and ads are the two big pillars of what brought this acquisition into play.
Right. Yeah, I can completely see the synergy between your audience and the different types of brands that you'll now be working with. So it's a lot of exciting stuff ahead, we can see. As we look at the CTV and streaming space overall, we know that OEMs are sort of beginning to become gatekeepers in a sense. So how does that impact Tastemade's distribution strategy and how you think about your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Something I have to deal with every day. We work with all of the major distribution partners, whether that be Samsung, whether that be Roku. And I would say that we've had to start getting more creative about how we're approaching our distribution partnerships versus a standard revenue share or inventory split. We're starting to approach them in more creative ways that are beneficial for both. For example, helping them fill, let's say, more unsold portion of their inventory at a buyback rate. We're also working with them more on marketing. So how do we invest in their platform? Right. And therefore that leads to more viewership for Tastemade. So I think it's really looking at how we can benefit each other. There's still a lot of challenges there when it comes to they own the identity piece, they own the authentication. So we're trying to come up with collaborative ways to really benefit both. I would say that is the phrase that keeps coming to mind. But I'd pose the same question to if you're speaking with any OEMs. Is how are you planning on working closer with publishers? Because at the end of the day, the better their content is, the better their inventory is to buyers, whether that's on our portion of the inventory or theirs, it's going to bring buyers to their platform, especially from a measurement perspective. You don't want to have some of your inventory be addressable while some portion of it isn't. So it really is what benefits us, benefits them, and what benefits them, benefits us.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think that there's a ton of opportunity, even with many challenges, a lot of opportunity for how we can bring all of these partners closer together. So speaking of partners, when you think about Tastemade, what do you really value most in a partner from an advertising perspective or even creative or otherwise? What are some of the top things that you really look for?
Yeah, I would say that the top things I look for in partnerships, one is trust. There are a lot of players in the space right now, and I'm looking for a partner that I trust, that supports our business, and looks at us as not just another publisher or content provider in in their wheelhouse, but really works with us collaboratively, wants to help us grow our business, wants to think outside the box of new ways that we can be positioning ourselves or representing our inventory. And even simple things like account management. We do a lot of sourcing of deals. So it's really important that we have their support when it comes to working with our direct sales team or our clients, being available and being quick, because, you know, this industry, things move fast, and you can lose a deal very quickly if you don't have a supportive publisher team.
That makes a lot of sense. And you touched on something that I want to talk about a little bit more, which is how rapidly the industry overall is changing, but especially the CTV and streaming space. I think it's become really a destination to connect with audiences in so many ways than we might have even originally thought. So as the space continues to evolve, do you think that CTV is ready to start driving and really influencing performance metrics and outcomes from mid-funnel to lower funnel? How are you thinking about your content's role in the overall advertising funnel?
Yeah, I think TV has generally been seen as an awareness play.
Yeah.
I think that's old thinking, especially as CTV is now front and center in programmatic and tech, where there's limitless opportunities to drive conversion in different ways. You know, you have different partners offering identity solutions, whether that's View ID2 or whether that's Ramp ID. And they enable buyers to have more insight into who they're actually reaching on streaming platforms and determine what type of creative or what type of messaging they want to, you know, send them. So it's not just awareness. And on kind of that same vein, with limitless targeting capabilities, you also have the ability to do sequential messaging or cross-device. And it's not limited to, hey, they're in front of their TV, maybe they haven't heard of our brand, maybe they have. We have a lot more insight into who's watching, who's in the household, and being able to cater those messages, absolutely a mid-funnel opportunity, or even lower. Reach consumers across our different brands and engage them, whether it's on Tastemade or whether it's to make a meal on Blue Apron, and not just an awareness play, although we will be doing that too.
Right. No, it kind of perfectly segues into something else I wanted to ask you, which is how you're thinking about measurement when it comes to CTV in general, but especially through the lens of everything you just described with really pushing consumers through the full journey. How does Tastemade think about measurement solutions?
Yeah, measurement solutions are definitely something that are tricky right now in our space. Kind of going back to the OEMs and the OSs, we're replaying the same story we've been playing in this space for the last several decades.
Absolutely.
And building walled gardens, and that's really having a negative impact on how we measure CTV and actually communicating the brand or the value to the brands. If they can't measure between, CTV from one platform to the next, it's tricky. We do work with third parties. We do work with different measurement companies. But again, with so many disjointed parts of the CTV ecosystem and different companies being very protective of their data, whether it's for privacy reasons or monetization revenue reasons, it's challenging. And I think there's a couple of ways it needs to be addressed, but I think the biggest is from marketers. They really need to push OEMs, OSs, publishers to be open to sharing some of their data, to be open to working with third-party measurement companies, because if we can't communicate the value of what we're providing to an advertiser, they will reallocate their budget to a medium that they can measure it.
Right, but that can only benefit the industry overall, and that kind of information sharing, I think, is what we're converging towards to really build a better ecosystem that can not only effectively reach consumers, but measure the quality of experience and impact for the brand across those audiences.
Yeah, it lifts all boats really.
Right.
Because again, if you open the door a bit to allowing measurement, to allowing, data to flow, it's only going to attract more dollars from legacy linear, from OLV,
Right.
from other parts of the industry as we continue to try and grow CTV. I'm very excited for the continued growth I'm seeing in CTV and commerce and CTV and retail media. We have always worked with the retail media networks, and we continue to see them grow and become more and more successful. But I'm really excited kind of going back to the fact that we can now do mid-funnel and more exciting things in CTV other than just spots and dots and 15s and 30s. And I know like Teads, you have a new exciting creative opportunity for CTV. And that continues to be, from my perspective, the more exciting piece of it is how do we bring new products, especially when it comes to commerce, shoppable, more advanced ad units, as we get into the back half of 2025 and really take CTV to the next level. So there's a couple of things, but they all tied together. But I'm really excited about where we can go from a commerce and creative perspective. And where I'm seeing the market go is beyond the 15-second ad spot to really get users and viewers engaged and actually interacting with brands.
Right. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think we're going to see a lot of convergence of the online and offline experience when it comes to retail in particular, and that players like you can play a huge role in that.
Yeah, we're excited about it. And it's a lot of new toys for me to play with and a lot of new ways for me to work with Teads and our other partners.
Amazing. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And thanks for joining us for this Talks with Teads.
Thank you.